got a 6-rounder. Also in the lightweight division, possibly called them junior lightweights, came in 131 pounds today. Mike Johnson, 2-4 record out of Albuquerque against Rudy Lunsford from St. Petersburg, Florida. 4-1, comes into somewhat of enemy turf here. Yeah, Lunsford. This big crowd of Albuquerque people here get behind Mike Johnson, who, from what I understand, and I haven't seen Mike Johnson, is a lot better than his 2-4 record allows.
I have seen him, and he is. And the other kid is a stablemate of David Santos, who they're very high on.
All right, we're going to go up for our scheduled 6-round official introductions. Take it away, Mike Adams.
Our next bout of the afternoon will be 6 rounds. Your judges at ringside will be Mr. Bagshaw, Mr. Nephew, and Mr. Bodenheiser. Your referee in charge, the light heavyweight champion of the world, Bob Foster. Introducing the combatants. In the blue corner, he weighed in at 131 pounds. He hails from the beautiful city of Albuquerque, New Mexico. He has a professional record of 2 wins, 4 losses. He goes by the name of Mike, the Warrior Johnson. His opponent in the red corner weighed in at 131.5 pounds. He comes from St. Petersburg, Florida. He has a professional record of 5 wins, 1 loss. Rude Dog, Rudy Lunsford. 6 rounds.
Break, you break, all right? Okay, shake hands down, make the best man.
All right. Rudy Lunsford. Incorrectly, we reported his record as 4-1. Rudy Lunsford comes in at 6-1. 4 knockouts in this 6-round junior lightweight bout. Lunsford's in the burgundy shorts, black stripe. Mike Johnson, red, white, and green. Comes in with 2-4, but Bob, as you said, sort of a deceptive 2-4 record. He literally lost his first 3 pro fights. He's won his last 2 out of 3, including a 6-round decision over Robert Campos.
In Campos' hometown. It was a fight I attended, and I couldn't believe when they told me it was a 1-4 fighter that, you know, that somebody didn't make a miscalculation or flip-flop a record or something, because he certainly looks more skilled than that. Rudy Lunsford, on the other hand, is from the same, as I said before, from the same stable as David Santos, and you know, their trainer management group down there in Tampa, St. Pete's really high on him.
Well, I had the opportunity to see Lunsford beat Scott Buck on a show up in Detroit, Michigan, and it was interesting how he won, though. He actually won it with a headbutt that referee Dale Grable missed, knocked Buck out cold with what was clearly a butt in the replay, and got out of town with a 2-round knockout over highly touted Scott Buck.
Right, isn't that Jackie Collins' fighter?
Yep. Jackie went crazy, protested it, but nevertheless there it stands. Only to lose his next fight, though, in his only loss to Riddell Chippy down in Florida. He lost a 6-round decision back in March. Came back with a 6-round win over Cornell Harris. So he's sitting at 6-1. He's got good punching power, though.
No, he's a strong, fresh young kid, but Mike Johnson, you know, they looked at it, as you could just see, just absorbed 2 real good shots from Rudy and didn't have much reaction to either one of them.
Johnson's been stopped once in his career. That was back there in 1990 before he took a 4-year layoff. Got stopped by Alex Quiroga in 2 rounds. Bob, can you shed any light on why a 4-year layoff on the part of Mike Johnson?
No, I have no idea.
Good left hook drops in there on part of Lunsford.
But I don't think Lunsford people, you know, they looked at the 2-4 Mike Johnson. I didn't think they expected the kind of fight. But I know Jim McDonough, the guy that's in his corner and that conditioned him, and he's a real taskmaster. You know, his fighters all come to fight in tremendous condition, and David Santos is indicative of the kind of fighter that he's worked with. He's been high on him when nobody wanted to hear about him, so he's put in a lot of hard time. It's nice to see him with a couple of real solid young prospects.
Rudy Lunsford, 21 years of age. Scheduled for 6 here at junior lightweights.
See Lunsford showing some good boxing skills. You know, he's taking what they're giving him. Johnson's got his hands up. He's working the body. He brings his hands down, and he's going upstairs.
Coming to the end of round number 1. This is scheduled for 6. That's referee, former light heavyweight champion Bob Foster. Bob, not a bad first round for either fighter, but Lunsford looking just a little sharper to me.
Yeah, I mean, I had him win in the first round. He's doing a lot more of the offensive work, and it seemed like Johnson was waiting for him to stop so he could get started, and he never stopped. So he was pretty much in a defensive mode.
But you heard me say let's go get this guy.
Lunsford's got 4 knockouts in his 6 wins. We take a look at action here from round number 1. Very sharp left, like kind of an awkward hook off the jab there on the part of Lunsford.
But good balance, you know, on the part of the rude dog. He's a flashy little fighter.
Round number 2, junior lightweights here on the Explosion. We're scheduled for 6. It's Mike Johnson, the multicolored shorts. Rudy Lunsford, he's in the burgundy with the black trim. Came into this fight 6-1, 4 knockouts. Mike Johnson comes in 2-4, but since coming back after a 4-year layoff, has won 2 out of 3. He's never stopped anybody. He's been stopped 1 time in his career back in December of 1990 by Alex Quiroga.
Good work by Lunsford. Taking what's there. Mike Johnson kind of a counter puncher, but a little hesitate to counter.
Break.
Johnson coming in with his hands down, though, Bob, leading with his head, and he's paying for it.
Yeah, this Lunsford's a very accurate puncher.
But he's got Johnson in trouble. And it's a good right over the top. I think Lunsford was looking for it to fall.
Johnson takes a pretty good lick, and you got to remember he's at home here, and he's a mile high, and you know this kid. You know, see him turning nicely there. Lunsford on both sides. He's really working Johnson over here, but whether or not he's got 6 rounds of this kind of work in him, we'll have to see.
We're a little bit more than halfway gone in round 2. He's eating a lot of those rights over the top.
Very accurate with his punches.
They don't seem to be phasing Johnson, but he's not scoring any points of his own.
And Lunsford's taking air out of his mouth right here halfway through the 2nd round.
Johnson keeping his right dangerously low. 8 a left hook coming in there before. Lunsford goes down to the body for the first time in the round. More good body work on the part of Lunsford.
Yeah, Lunsford's a nice little fighter. He's turning well and not let Johnson get set, getting his punches off, and then either.
Oh, 6 unanswered punches and an uppercut. And Johnson shakes his head no. I have to say yes. So we're coming to the end of round number 2. We're scheduled for 6. These are junior lightweights.
You see Lunsford stop and take a big gulp of air, though.
Another good round for Rudy Lunsford. You know, Bob, it reminds me a little bit, though, like when I was watching Eric Griffin, especially in Griffin's early fights, where they throw a lot of punches, don't sit down a lot, and they get into this perpetual motion mentality. But they don't sit down, and then they land these big blows, and you're wondering why the guy's not falling, but they're not really set.
Right, and you know, the other aspect of that is if you can keep that up for 8, 10 rounds and do that every round, it can work for you because you're certainly winning. As here we see Lunsford go with a nice 6-punch combination, backing up Johnson every time. But right after this, Johnson, he pivots out of there and starts trying to punch back himself.
And he was never flat-footed at all. And Johnson like shakes his head after that. Of course, says he wasn't hurt. And perhaps he wasn't, because Lunsford didn't have his feet firmly planted and didn't have enough on those punches to really put Johnson down. Round number 3, scheduled for 6. Coming up, Buster Mathis Jr. and Mike Ackley. Right now, we're taking a trip into the junior lightweight division on Heavyweight Explosion. I'm Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal along with Bob Spagnola. Hope you're enjoying our show, and it's been a good one thus far. And it's been a good outing right now for 6-1. Rudy Lunsford, he's out of St. Petersburg, Florida. He's coming into the backyard of Mike Johnson here in Albuquerque. Good body work again, Bob, on the part of Lunsford. He's really starting to work the body nicely.
He looks like a nice little fighter. The only thing that's going to give him problems in this fight is if he fades under this mile-high altitude and lets Johnson get back in, because Johnson hasn't won one of these set-piece little battles yet in this fight. But, you know, these perpetual motion fighters, you know, a lot of times they develop that style because they're really not capable of drilling a guy with one shot, and they just put it, even though, this kid shifts his weight well and he's got good balance, and I'm sure several of the early opponents that he's used, he's knocked out, but, you get into a guy that's got a good beard, that's a solid pro himself and well-conditioned, he's not going to go, and that's when you got to be able to keep up this perpetual motion stuff for 6 or 8 rounds or whatever scheduled, because if you start to gas, with get your own heart rate up in one of these fights and not be able to deal with it, you're going to be in trouble.
I was about to say it slowed down quite a bit, was throwing a whole lot less punches. Come alive a little bit here. We're a little more than halfway gone in round number 3. We're scheduled for 6.
But every break he gets, he stops, and you can see his mouthpiece all over, not only the black, but the little green in the middle of it. He's gulping for air. Nice body shot. Yeah, nice body shot. That hurt Johnson, and there was nothing low about it. He just disemboweled him there right across the front of the abdomen.
Under a minute to go in round number 3, and Bob Foster didn't make a move, so that fight wasn't looking to help Johnson. The body shot definitely took something out of him.
Anytime you see a professional fighter show, any pain or, discomfort for a punch, it must have hurt, because they're trained their whole lives not to show anything. Nice left hook by Johnson. His best punch of the fight. Comes back with the right hand, and here comes Lunsford. That's it to say, you're not going to win 1 minute of this fight.
Second, Lunsford relaxed. Mike Johnson came in with that left hook. Drops the left inside again. Ten seconds to go. Round number 3. This is scheduled for 6. Very tough round to call, Bob, because Mike Johnson had certainly his best round of the fight.
Right, but I don't think it was enough to win it. He won a couple of exchanges.
I thought for long periods of the round, Rudy Lunsford finally took off some time.
But you got to relax.
We'll take a look at, listen in here on Lunsford's corner.
Combinations popping because you're losing your speed. Okay? And when you hit him in the body, get some room. He's coming so close, he's trying to pull you in.
We'll take a look here at action from round number 3, and there's that shot by Johnson.
Yeah,
sort of a wake-up call.
Right hand came after a left hook.
Lunsford came right back, though, Bob.
Yeah, as if to say, hey, listen, you're not going to win 1 round of this fight. He's in there working, but he's pushing his punches here a little bit.
And interesting watching it back, how many of them didn't land. So we watch back from the that camera angle. Round number 4. Mike Johnson from Albuquerque, New Mexico. He's in the multicolored shorts. Rudy Lunsford out of St. Petersburg, Florida. Burgundy and black.
Hey, good advice in Lunsford's corner. Jim McDonough told him, hey, look, don't smother yourself. When you get this guy in trouble, leave yourself punching range, which he's been very successful with. He gets in a little bit too close inside. He was just pushing his punches. He needs that leverage. He wants to fight from the outside with Johnson.
Body shots starting to take their toll on Johnson, too, and he keeps looking to Bob Foster for help when he eats these body shots as if to say they're low. Give me some help, but they're right on the money.
Do something. And you see that slim, even though it's a chiseled body, you gotta love that going downstairs on a thin-waisted guy like Johnson. Accurate punches landing by Lunsford.
Minute gone by in round number 4. This is scheduled for 6. Coming up, Buster Mathis Jr., Mike Ackley. Right now we're looking at junior lightweights. Adolfo Lunsford came into this fight at 6-1 record. He's got 4 knockouts. He's in the burgundy shorts, black stripe.
Seems like he'd be a good little ticket seller. We're back down in Tampa, St. Pete, Lunsford. Nice action fighter, flashy, plays to the crowd.
Mike Johnson, of course, the hometown fighter here in Albuquerque, came in at 2-4. I'd love to see his record get up to 500, win this and another one. Right now, though, seems to be trailing unofficially at the end of 3. A little more than a minute to go here in round number 4. Rudy Lunsford having perhaps his best round of the fight.
He's getting a lot done. Those body shots by Lunsford early in the fight have taken their toll on Mike Johnson.
Johnson, not quite so daring, not so anxious to leave his left jab hanging out there.
And Lunsford, as he's gotten his second win, and he's comfortable with his conditioning for the fight.
Seconds to go in round number 4. This is scheduled for 6. I'm Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal along with Bob Spagnola. Hope you're enjoying the show. I'm going to say some good matchmaking from our CKP matchmaker Bill Benton today. Also,
Ian Benton, he's having some fun down here, watching these guys go at it.
We come to the end of round number 4. Another good one. Rudy Lunsford out of St. Pete.
You're not working next to me. Huh? No, can't get in here. Listen, aim here. Aim here. It'll be better to do what you do. Right. Aim at this right here. So that's right. No, this is the. Push this. Look, right here. Aim right here, Mike. And fire right here. Okay. It's not a cut. It's a minute. No, get it off there. Get it off there, man. It's not swollen. It's just got a nick. All right, out there. He's all dead. Oh, he's fucking dead. I know you did. You gotta be into the seats. One thing though, is coming for a slow right ahead. Can't get away with it. He's trying to set you up. Let's go. Take that. That's it.
Fifth round, we're scheduled for 6. Former light heavyweight champion Bob Foster reffing this bout wants to get that corner cleaned up. Interesting instruction in the corner of Mike Johnson. Bob had telling him to aim for the chest. I've heard Gil Clancy say that he said that to his fighters in the past too, and they say that, hey, the guy's moving too much or he's blocking it. They say, hey, just keep throwing shots. And he doesn't seem to be able to get a chance to get off here. Lunsford picks up in the 5th round where he left off in the 4th.
Yeah, and although he is taking some gulps of air, he's fighting in spurts now, and he's really completely dominating Mike Johnson here.
He's got Johnson trapped here right now.
He doesn't want to smother himself. So Jim had told him in between rounds he's doing a little bit of that right now.
You ought to take a step back.
Exactly. Give himself some leverage. You can finish this fight. But hey, that's all the learning as a guy in a corner. The fact that he's, needs to do a little something different in order to finish his opponent, because he's come into the other guy's hometown and he's beating his behind all over the ring.
Only 7 pro fights for young 21-year-old Rudy Lunsford. He's 6-1. He's got 4 knockouts. Mike Johnson came in at 2-4. Deceptive 2-4 record. He's won his last 2 out of 3 after a 4-year layoff.
Nice-looking little fighter, though. He's got good athleticism, good quickness, and he's a handsome kid. That never hurts when you're trying to sell a few tickets.
Nope. A little more than halfway gone here in round number 5. As we mentioned, he got what might have turned out to be a gift, because he has a habit of going into other fighters' hometowns and backyards. He went out to Detroit, to Scott Buck's backyard, got out of there with a lucky 2-round disputed knockout done on a headbutt. And he's here today in Mike Johnson's backyard in Albuquerque.
I'll tell you, Michigan would be the last place I'd go looking for a lucky break.
Under a minute to go in round number 5. Junior lightweight scheduled for 6. Coming up, Bustin Adams Jr. and Mike Ackley. 10-round heavyweight bout.
Good assortment of punches from Lunsford here. He's impressing, even though he's, now after a few rounds, he's not as sharp or as quick as he was earlier in the fight, but he's just not a flash in the pan. He's not a 1 or 2 round fighter with all that, and then he's got some good skills.
Which might tell you, though, that he's not ready for an 8-rounder. This is he's gone the 6-round distance twice. Scheduled for 6. Mike Johnson's been the 6-round distance only 1 time in his last fight.
And he's just cleaning Mike Johnson's clock and closing.
Long walk back to the corner for Mike Johnson. Unofficially way behind in this fight.
You got to step too. You got to step too. You got to step too,
Unofficially, Bob, I've got it behind 50 to 46 at the end of 5. Take a look there, Rudy Lunsford.
Yeah, you'd be hard-pressed to give a round to Johnson in this fight. But,
You were saying that you think that Lunsford might be affected by the altitude here.
well, after 2 rounds, he had his mouth open, and he was taking some breaks. But he's, like I said, the guy that's got him, Jim McDonough, very well-conditioned athletes that he produces down there, and this kid is no exception. And, hey, listen, there is no substitute to being mile high other than to train at it. And but he's been fresh, and he never panicked in his conditioning level or anything. And really, if anyone, Johnson's the one that suffered from the pace of this fight.
6th and final round. It's been all Rudy Lunsford. Hey, Bob, we're talking between rounds about the altitude here. And what's the rule of thumb, though? I've heard everything from you should be in 2 weeks early, or if you're not going to be in early, come in 3 days before a fight and it won't affect you as much.
Yeah, I've heard that too, and I really don't know. But the optimum situation is obviously to get there 3 weeks early. Because we're in sea level in Texas where I am, and whenever we go to Lake Tahoe or someplace above 6,000 feet, or even Las Vegas at 2,000 feet, it's an arid, dry. It's much different. And if you have a prospect and you want him to know, hey, this guy's looking out for me. He's taking care of my business, and he's not going to bring me up there unless. He's, either I've heard about giving guys garlic to help thin out their blood, but, there's no substitute to being there. And, you got to, if you have a prospect that you're trying to develop, sometimes you have to make those decisions. It's going to cost you some money to go up there, but those are the kind of things you have to do.
And again, economics always enters into it. It's a 6-round fight, young fighter. And I'm going to tell you right now, I was just about to say Rudy Lunsford taking his round up and trying to cruise to a decision. Comes alive here after about halfway gone in 6th and final round. Going back to work that body, which he worked so beautifully in rounds 2, 3, and 4 against Mike Johnson.
Yeah. He's cashing in on the dividends that he paid, early in this fight by just completely brutalizing Mike Johnson's body. And, he started off headhunting a little bit. Johnson brought his hands up, and he took advantage of the body. He really put on, in my opinion, a real nice performance here. And he has taken off some time in the fight here and there to get himself back in control, which is no shame. You don't have to dominate every second of a fight in order to win it unanimously.
1 minute to go in the fight right now. There's definitely zip off of Lunsford's punches. He's still landing. Doesn't have that zip he had earlier in the fight. Nice left-right combination, though.
He still pulls
Backs
the string,
up Johnson.
and you know, and he's still taking the steps, making the pivots and everything that you see. If a guy is tired, he doesn't waste his legs like that. So you know, the kid's in pretty good, he's in real good condition. Oh, nice counter left hook. He's just beating Mike Johnson to the punch every time he has to.
Johnson just looking to survive now. Go the full 6 rounds. There's been no knockdowns in the fight. There's some slipping, some nice slipping that Johnson didn't do in the first 5 rounds. Out of desperation, he's slipping shots now.
I think Lunsford was a little bit quicker earlier in the fight, and like I said, very accurate with his punches. And Johnson just couldn't get out of the way. And as you can see, Mike's got his hands down around his waist. Good bout, good action.
And what appears to be unofficially a very good win for Rudy Lunsford coming into Mike Johnson's backyard. I've got it unofficially 60-55. Bob, you're around
60-54.
I gave 1 round even. That was back in the 3rd, perhaps a gift round. Rudy Lunsford looking to improve his record down to 7-1. Take a look at action here from round number 6. Again, really started to work that body again in the 6th round. Slowed Mike Johnson down to a crawl. And anytime he got him on the ropes, the only problem, as we mentioned earlier, Bob, is he has a tendency to crowd instead of taking that step back and be able to really land the big shot. More action here from round number 6. Closing moments of the fight. '21-year-old young Rudy Lunsford out of St. Pete, Florida. Coming up, Buster Mathis Jr., the USBA heavyweight champion. Promised to be Mike Tyson's next opponent. Should Tyson get past Peter McNeely on August 19th. He'll be fighting Mike Ackley today. We're awaiting our official decision from our ring announcer, Mike Adams. He's conferring right now with former light heavyweight champion and referee of this last bout, Bob Foster. What do you think, Bob? Another 6-rounder on the part of Lunsford, or do you think he's ready for 8?
Well, I mean, you know, a lot of times it depends on what the promoter you're working with locally is and what you can get for the kid, because, you know, under the right circumstances, you can get him an 8-round opponent that may not go 8 with him. You certainly like to have a little bit more money. But, you know, if you're going on the road, I wouldn't take him into 8 rounds.
All right, up to Mike Adams with the official decision.
We have a unanimous decision. Judge Cruz scored the bout 60-55. Judge Bodenweiser 60-54. Judge Bagshaw 60-54. For the Rude Dog, Rudy Lunsford.
Well, Bob, the judge is patronizing us. One has his my way, one has it yours, just like in the last fight. Nevertheless, a good win for Rudy Lunsford. His record improves to 7-1. Remains at 4 knockouts. Mike Johnson drops down to 2-5. He's got to get some wins on the other side. And, of course, heavyweight explosion being brought to you today by Corona.